Okay guys, I kind of have a lot to show you, but let's try to be as quick as possible. Let me show you what it does first. Let me show you. So we've got the background of the planetary ring system, which I added. I've got a background of stars, and I've got a little platform at the bottom that the creature walks on top of, and then the creature can jump. Still working on the jump. I like it though. And so let me just kind of show you basically how I do it is basically when I brought it home I was programming on computers that are not as fast as this computer, so I had to slow it down. And what I did was main really has not changed. Okay, so what I did was I added this code here in the process input function that calculates the glfwTime, current time, delta time equals current time minus the last time equals the current time. So that's a continual loop that's done every frame, basically. Because process input is called every frame, so that's why I put it in there. And it's also going to be applied to the input input event, what do you call it, responder. Anyways, when you hit the A key or the left key or the, yeah. So then I'm just multiply the dx, and I had to adjust it, times delta time. And same with down here when you hit the space key, and it's just the y variable that's being affected. So I set it here, and then also in the and then this is also used in the points move function. So basically, let me start from the beginning here because I'm kind of jumping around. Basically, to get the planetary rings, I did another video on that, but I added in some points, and I actually just put them in the 0 section of the R list, the vertices, the array. And then what I did in the draw function was just used the line strip there, and I draw all the points as a line strip. It's not perfect and it's not like ideal yet, but it works. And then I created another vertex array of stars, and then 60. The stars, there's a couple hundred, and then the 60 is for the platform, and the 1 is for the character. So those are all points. And then the only thing I had to update here was the update rlist1 because excuse me, because what I did at the very top, we have two kinds of vertices being rendered, lines and points. These are all the points, and then of course when I do my initialization, because you've got the points and then the stars, I just keep that as another reference variable. See, because when you initialize your multi-dimensional array, you get points times 9 anyways, so the R list 0 and 1 are both the same length, and they're 12,000. Even though the one of them actually uses 12,000 for the planetary rings, and then the other one uses 60, excuse me, 60, or a couple hundred for the stars, 60 for the platform, and 1 for the character. And then I added some other variables and everything. Okay, so let's go down here, because init2 doesn't change. See, all I did, because I used this constant, it just creates another set of VAOs and VBOs that I can use, which is awesome. And then I uncommented the init text in the main, so that did change, and I actually used the texture. So we're using our project to ping texture from the OpenGameArt.org. Create shader, draw stuff. Okay, so the draw stuff I did change. I used the line strip to draw the 12,000 points, and then the points we draw stars plus 61. This we don't need. That was for the GUI. That'd be nice to use again though. Be great. Update stuff, button toggle we don't use. We can take that out. Someone was just asking what do we do, and then with name stuff we update the second portion of the multi-dimensional array with that VBO, excuse me. We use learnopengl.com, so check that out, it's great. Excuse me. Some of the things that I did here don't directly relate to learnopengl.com, but I highly recommend it for beginners. It's really wonderful. So anyways, then we initialize our points. This is the planetary rings that I covered in another video. To add the stars, it was actually quite easy. We just get a random X, random Y, random colors. I kind of dimmed them. You know, the 0.6, I dimmed the stars. I didn't want them to really stand out too much. And then I made them a size random 8 plus 2, so it's actually 2 to 10. And then I put them in type 2 for the fragment shader. So type 2, so as I'm going through the fragment shader, it looks at the type that's sent in. And with type 2, it's going to make a circle. So the stars are actually little circles. Okay. And then points in it down here. Okay. And then we add the platform that moves with the input. Okay, so the movement is not covered here. This is just the initialization. So I make 60 of them. I start at the very edge of the screen, and I calculated how much each one should be to be nice and separated from each other. And I put in all the other variables and stuff that go with my particular function that I've got here. So this is your X and then the Y. They're all in the same Y coordinate for now. This is the number of textures in the X direction on the texture that you initialized. So for mine it's 64. For this one in the Y direction it's 48. This is the actual normalized size of the texture in the X direction that because you're sampling from the texture. And the same for the Y. They're both 32, but because the texture has different dimensions in on either axis, those are different numbers. This is the actual size of the texture. This is the type, and so and then this is the number within, like if you were to number the textures from 0 to however many there are. So 3, if you go back to the fragment shader, case 3 does this, which I covered in another video, and it just samples from the texture, and it's really awesome because I can use any number of textures in the one in this little sprite table here. So I just give it the coordinates and give it the size and width, the width and height, and then it samples the texture from there, which is awesome. And then oops, we're ahead of ourselves there. And then the final point, and as it iterates, it adds, so the X goes like that across the screen. And then here, this is your character. I figured out exactly how to put the character right on the platform. And then for the movement, we do some other things. We're not going to cover the movement too much because we're just adjusting the X. And then in this case we're adjusting the X for the stars. So it's kind of like a parallax scrolling, as you can see if you run it again. Like the background actually moves, so it looks like the stars are moving up, but they're not actually moving up. And then the stars actually move, so it looks like they are moving like one way or the other. So it creates like a funky parallax scrolling. And then the platform moves as well. So this covers the stars moving, and you notice that I add or have to check for the one thing to note is that I use dx when I do the transformation on the vertices to get them to move, and then you check the bounds right here for the stars if they go off the screen, and it resets them. It sets the position and color again. And then this is your platform, and then basically you have to recreate the platform on the other side of the screen. And because I use math to place them in place, I can just easily subtract 2 or add 2 based on which side is disappearing and reappearing on the other side at the moment. And you notice again we use the dx for the controlling. And then here with the jumping, we use player dy for the jumping times delta time, and then this is the see, this is affecting the player right here, and then this is affecting the player's velocity, so it's kind of building acceleration like gravity does because it's constant acceleration. And then we do bounds checking here because we want to make sure that the player lands squarely on the platform when he returns. So then we're down here and we're looking at our per frame time logic because you don't want to go based on how many frames the computer can render per second. You want to go based on how far in a given time. So you have to just determine how much time has occurred between each frame and then apply that delta time to your velocity. So that's where the dx gets modified. So it gets reset to that or that based on what's happening with the delta time. And then of course we have our little jumping event handler here, where if you hit the space key and jumping is false, sets it to true and adds the velocity. All this amounts to, again, one more time. And I still left in the left click where I can change the color of the sky anytime I want, which is pretty awesome. So anyways, that is it in a nutshell, and we're ready to head into the world of 2D platforming. There will be much more with this, and I'm going to actually prepare for an alpha release, you could say. That'll be something fun to play with. Not sure. I mean, this isn't fun at all. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not fun. So I got to make it fun. So we're gonna add a bunch of stuff to it. We're gonna get some feedback from some people. Maybe contact some forums and some different things, and see if we can get some support for spreading around what I'm doing and draw people to the tutorials as well as to the video game that I'm starting to make, and see what people want, and I'll put it in there. Hopefully. Anyways, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope this has been kind of exciting, because it was very exciting to reach this point. I've known that I can do this for a while. I just kind of been putting it off, and that's a whole other topic, the whole lack of motivation. But we'll be more motivated as we move forward here. So stay tuned, and thanks again for watching.